All right, Johnny, how are you today?
Yeah, good, Stu. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Away for Easter?
No, I'm in Madrid. I've stuck around here for today. I can see you're in Portugal, though.
I am indeed. This is my Portugal room here.
Yeah,
Nothing ever changes. Blank walls. Nothing here on the ledge. Yeah, everything. Just what a holiday home should have. The bare minimum.
nice.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, good
what's
stuff.
on the agenda, Johnny?
All right, so let's get started. So we've got a couple of topics today. So let's begin with the reduction in rental properties on the market, which has gone down since October of last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So the offer of rental properties on the market at the moment in Spain has gone down about 15%. And a lot of people are putting it down to the new property law that came into effect back in October, or that has recently been approved and passed through Congress, but was approved last year. So just,
Yeah.
yeah.
hmm Yeah, I think they were. I think they were putting it down to that. That was one of the main reasons, of course. And the other thing now with the high inflation and that rent cap, which is in place as well. I think you can't increase rents by more than 2% at the moment. I think, Johnny. I think that's the law that is in place for the next 3 months. And I was reading somewhere that a lot of people have decided to either take their rental property off the market, or people that were going to buy property to rent have decided not to do it.
Exactly. Or yeah, they postponed the decision effectively because of this.
That's it.
So
That's
yeah.
it. And apparently the situation's worse in Catalonia, I think, for whatever reason. But
Yeah, so 15% is kind of the overall Spain figure, but in Catalonia, I believe it's over 20%, is the reduction in the number of rental properties available. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the government back in the day felt that they needed to do something to control the rent situation in Spain, because, as we know, the prices were increasing, and it was becoming quite. It was difficult for young people to rent, and then they put this new law in place also for young people, where they get some type of monthly bonus or something. Was it, Johnny? For if you were under 26, was it?
Yeah, I think it was if you were under 25 or 26 and
Yeah.
you were based on your earnings, your income where you lived, were entitled of up to €250 a month to
Yeah.
help you with your rent, to
That's it.
essentially help you
That's it.
move out your parents' house and
That's
become
right. That's
independent.
right. And I think the problem is, in a lot of the big cities in Spain, the situation is such that rents are chewing up a big part of people's salaries. I think the general rule of thumb was that rent shouldn't be more than 25 or 30% of your monthly salary. And in cities like Madrid, I think it's actually, in some areas, it's over it's over what people earn. So for a lot of people, it's impossible to even consider renting.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, I mean, coming from personal finance, a lot of people say no more than a third of your monthly income, or some of
That's
the
it.
more conservative people more than 25%. But if you're living in a city like Madrid or Barcelona, it is very difficult to achieve that. I know myself
That's
at
right.
one point, I would think I was over a third of my monthly income was going to rent at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did a video a couple of, maybe last week, the week before. I can't remember, on the different cost of living. I went to one of those online sites. Can't remember which one it was, but it doesn't matter. And they said the average monthly salary in Madrid's around €1,700, I think it was. And to
Mhm.
rent a single bedroom apartment in the center of Madrid was up to around 1,250. So, I mean, if you go by that 30% rule, not many people are going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and you gave figures for the center. Even if you go to some of the more north or the more south neighborhoods, it goes down, but it's still quite high.
It's still
So
high, yeah. That's
it's
it.
a very
That's it.
difficult situation. Yeah.
That's right. Considering, again, Johnny, that salaries are the big problem for a lot of people, especially when they start working, and when are you going to be able to rent a place on your own, which should be something that people can aspire to, but obviously not the case.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You were renting in, well, it wasn't central Madrid, but it was in the main area, right?
Yeah, Tetuan was where I was renting before. Yeah.
And then when you moved out, did the landlord put the rent up for the next people that come in? Do you know?
That I don't know, but I do know that in my contract, in the first place I lived in, there was a clause that said that the rent could be increased in line with the consumer price index.
Okay.
So I would imagine that the rent was probably moved up for the next person. Yeah.
Well, that's it. The consumer price index, that's another thing that we can talk about one day. All
Yeah.
right, good. What's next, Johnny?
Yeah, okay, so let's move on to the Bank of Spain and credit now. So,
Good.
the Bank of Spain, primarily in response to the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, has tightened the criteria for access to credit, both for businesses and for individuals. No specifics given, but I can imagine that, not that we're maybe expecting a 2008 style crisis, but perhaps being prudent just in case. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Again, I don't know what the expectations are, considering that we do have the inflation rates that we do, and obviously there is a need for caution, difficult access to credit, and all of those things. It's it is difficult times.
Yeah, although from what I've read, it's not become a lot stricter. It's only become ever so slightly stricter. So maybe there's one or two additional checks, and where they maybe would have given a pass on someone for something light in the past, maybe this time it wouldn't be the case. So,
well, that's right. That's right. I suppose if you have all of the things that banks are looking for example, your salary paid in every week, that's an important one, right? To have a regular job, to have been in steady employment for a while, that's it. You should still be able to access basic credit, let's hope.
Yeah, that's it. Check the boxes. Because we talked about it on my channel. So we had a banking expert from Spain come in, and at the end of the day, lending money is how the banks make money. So they want to be able to check off the boxes and give you a loan, whether it's for a mortgage or for a vehicle or whatever it is. But yeah, they do need you to check the boxes, and now they're going to be probably looking at applications with quite a bit of scrutiny, I would say.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's the way banks work, isn't it? They get money for a certain price, and then they give it to you for another price, and that's where they make their money.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, good. So lucky you got your mortgage before the credit tightening, Johnny.
Yeah, and that leads us nicely into the next topic. So the Euribor index is now back in the positive numbers, and it's the highest that it has been since 2016. So it's at 0.05 at the moment, as of the 12th.
0.05. Okay.
Yes, that's the 12th of April 2022. So now variable mortgages are going to be going up. Fixed rate mortgages have been going up as well, but now variable mortgages are going to be getting more and more expensive as well as a result of this increase.
Yeah, I heard, I think it was in the paper today, they said that the average family can look forward to a €40 a month increase at the moment, I think, with this slight change. And of course, we're not talking about a lot, but you said there that fixed mortgages are also going up, did you say?
Not those that have already been agreed, but if you were, for example, to look for a fixed rate mortgage today compared to what you would have got last year, you would be paying a higher rate. That's what I was referring.
Okay. So let's put this in. So context, you got your fixed mortgage last year, and the rates for the same mortgage now, how much have they increased by?
Oh, I had a look on the bank's website, and I would say it's maybe about 1.5% that they've increased.
Okay, all right, good. 1 or 1.5% increase. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, well, I mean, it has to happen. I mean, I think we spoke about it the last time, Johnny, that back in the 80s, interest rates were up in the mid-teens in some countries. I remember Australia was in the mid-teens. I think somebody in the comment section said that in the UK it was like that as well. So when inflation goes up, interest rates are forced up. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and we've heard from the European Central Bank as well that they may be looking to review the rates this year at some point as well. So that could also be a driving factor behind those rates going up.
That's it. It is to be expected. That's right. I think it must be one of the ways that obviously, I'm not an expert in this, Johnny, but I suppose that to control inflation, governments must have some mechanisms, and this could be one, right?
Yeah, well, interest rates, typically, if you increase them in times of high inflation, it encourages people to save money rather than to spend it. So with less money being spent, then in theory it should control the rate at which prices are increasing.
That's it. And hopefully the government has some more mechanisms to bring the high inflation down. I don't know.
We shall see.
We will. All right, good. What's next?
Yeah, and then our last topic today. So we have the tourism sector. So they're looking at, I think it's also 15% possibly increases in price due to inflation. And quoted saying, we don't have any other choice if we don't want to lay off our workers.
Okay, so they're threatening to lay off workers if they're not allowed to increase prices. All right, go. Well, in a free market, I suppose they can do whatever they want, right?
Yeah, so they're not quite threatening to lay off workers. It's rather they don't want to lay off workers, so they feel obliged to push to bring the prices up so that they can continue to pay their workers.
Yeah. I've also heard of some tourist taxes that I think the Valencian community is talking about, a tourist tax. I don't know whether it's for this year or next year, but they are talking about putting a €2 levy per day per tourist in place. So everybody's going after the tourist at the moment. Increases in hotels, increases in restaurants, tourist taxes. Here we go.
Yeah, well, I went to Valencia last month. Got a video on my channel about it, actually. Look, maybe it was the right time to go.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure whether they're going to bring this charge in this year, or to be honest, I only read the article quickly and mentioned it the other day, but I imagine that somebody has to pay for the pandemic, Johnny, right? So government's lost a lot of income if there's no tourists coming in, no restaurants open, restaurants shutting down, hotels weren't able to open, government having to give subsidies. Somebody has to pay for it.
Yeah, and it's particularly the case in Spain where tourism makes up such a big proportion of the economy this is the scale of the problem is what it is. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And now they're talking about tourism back to pre-pandemic levels in some parts of the country. I think Canary Islands, Balearic Islands, maybe some of the coastal areas on mainland Spain back to 2019 figures. So it has bounced back.
Yeah, well, that's some good news in the midst of all of this. And I know, looking online at I've been looking at digital nomad guides recently, just out of interest, and a lot of people are citing like Las Palmas and Santa Cruz as interesting places for digital nomads to go. So the interest in Spain is still there. So maybe that is some good news.
Yeah. Well, this is all we're all waiting for this digital nomad visa to be approved, I think, right, and get the final plan of what it's going to be.
Yeah, so I don't think the specifics are available yet, but I know it was on the table definitely, and maybe we'll get some news soon to see what that's like for people interested in coming on that.
That's right. Things can be on the table for a long time. That's exactly right. Until they get worked out. That's exactly right. I had somebody was trying to do. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he sent me the Boletín Oficial del Estado, and he said the information that you need is in here. So I started reading. I tell you what, it was the longest, most complicated document that I've ever had to read. And the person that writes these things and puts them out. Obviously everything has to be official in these documents, but it takes so long to get the wording right and all of the rules and regulations, and that's what slows these things down, I imagine.
Yeah, and particularly in Spanish, where you have very, very long sentences as well.
But anyway, all right, good. Anything else there, Johnny?
So that was all for today, Stu.
All right, good one, Johnny. We'll be in contact with the next episode when we get some enough information to put one out, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
Johnny, have a good day.
See
you later. Bye-bye.